Hello, Stacy. How are you? Anyway, if we should happen to get booted or the stream is not healthy, give me 5 minutes after that. I close it down and we're going to go to Facebook Live. Okay? Where you been? Anyway, today, well, first off, did you get the PDFs? And we're going to work with a few different things. This comes in 4 or 5 different stages. Well, this was sort of my mistake. I've given you the Joe Morello Master Studies as written, plus with the fill-ins. And we're going to continue with that, but we're going to go backwards a little bit, and we're going to make it a little easier. We're going to the stick control book, using it as fill-ins. Talk to me, Stacy. Tell me what I'm doing. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Please. Okay, thank you, Stacy. All right, did you get the PDFs? You know, if you remember, I taught the Joe Morello couple lines with the fill-ins. Remember, we did 1 and 2E and 3E and 4E and. Do you remember that? So we're going to take the stick control book and do the same thing, but at this time there are no accents. Okay, so we're going to start on line 3. You have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and no problem. Now we're going to do that with the fill-ins. 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and. Understand that? Okay, and then we're going to take the next step. Once we understand the fill-ins, we're going to take it to a linear concept. For example, if I took that same line, line 3, but I'm going to make it a straight line of 16th notes. The absent 16th note is going to be played with the foot. 1E and da. Get it? It's a pretty nice exercise. It really will develop a whole lot of nice things for you. So again, we take line 2. I should wait because I'm really early. We should wait until the chat populates somewhat. And like I said, if we get booted, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to go to Facebook 5 minutes after I close this down. Let me see how the stream is coming out. Okay, looks good. Yeah, 4 watching. There's me, you, and 2 other people who are not in the chat. But anyway, you should be following the PDFs. And I labeled the PDFs as line 1, 2, 3, and 4, but they're not in sequence with the stick control book. Like line 1 on the PDF is actually line 3 of the stick control book. And the same thing with line 2, that's actually line 4 of the stick control book. Hey Seth, how are you? Did you catch what we were doing with the PDFs? Seth, did you understand what we're doing with the PDFs? You know, like I'm not going backwards. It was my mistake. I should have introduced you to the fill-ins with the stick control book first, but I figured, let's go to the master studies. Example, I took line 3, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and I said, let's do that with the fill-ins. 1E and 2E and no accent. And then the next move after that, we made it linear. A straight line is 16ths. 1E and 2E and. Did you understand that, Seth? We should wait a couple more minutes. So we'll just let the chat populate somewhat. Any questions on anything that we have done so far? Maybe we could, have a few minutes to review it or answer some questions before I start the lesson. I don't want to keep repeating myself. Seth? All right, so we'll wait. So we have Seth and Stacy, myself, and there's 2 other people who are not in the chat. Now, I'm not certain if you're watching this on a telephone, or a phone rather, all right? You can get into the chat. I'm not certain. But if you're watching this on your computer, without a doubt, get into the chat, please. Introduce yourself, say hello to everybody, make new friends, and ask questions. No questions for Stacy. All right, Stacy. Now, we're going to do, that's the 2 steps to that exercise. The fill-ins as they are, just using fill-ins. Then we make it linear. And then we're going to do some more referencing from the stick control book as all the accents. We're going to reference off the accents. Like, if I did line 1, we eliminated, if you remember, all the lefts, and we played the rights as accents when we were playing 1E and the 2E and the 3E and the 4E and we're going to take that, and I'm going to write this all out as soon as I get an opportunity to, and everybody will get the PDFs. This is a continuation of some more formulas, okay? And I don't know if I said this yesterday or if everybody got it, but I'm going to revise stick control book formulas. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it into a couple different volumes, like stick control formula number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, with a tremendous amount of different formulas. But I want to keep the cost of the book down. So everybody who purchased the original book, I'm going to revise that, and I will send you a book free of charge, because that's my mistake. Okay? So Seth has the PDFs. Stacy, you have no questions. Okay. Now, like I said, we're going to reference off the accents. Remember, we were doing 1E and 2E and... So if I did the fill-ins with an accent, it would be 1E and 2E and then we make it linear. You understand that? 1E and 2E and So from just the fill-ins, you have 1, 2, 3 different, 4 different exercises. I think the stick control book is a gift from heaven to all the drummers. And we all should have a George Lawrence Stone Day in America. What do you guys think? All right, it's almost 1. And we'll go forward with the lesson. You understand the PDFs. Seth? Do you understand the PDFs? All right, we're all good. Stacy, when you come to the camp, bring all the books that you want to bring. You don't need anything else. You just need your drumsticks and a book. There's all kinds of drum pads here and 2 drum sets, okay? So Seth understands and Stacy understands. Hey Seth, you must have had a good teacher, man. Oh, and this Sunday, remember, Steve Forrester will be here, and he will be explaining and demonstrating his publication. Steve is a hell of a nice guy and a really good drummer. I've known Steve, Jesus, 40, 50 years? Wow. Okay, Seth, thank you for that. And now, onward with the lesson. You're looking at the PDF. Okay, so now you see, I'm going to use my floor tom-tom as the music stand. You look at the PDF, line 1. That's actually line 3 of the stick control book as 1 and 2. And I'm going to do it slow. 3 and 4 and. That's what you see on the stick control book. That will be either half strokes, full strokes, or quarter strokes, or whatever you might be exercising. So now, we're going to do the fill-ins. That means whenever we have 2 rights in a row, or 3 or 4 rights in a row, we fill in the blank 16th notes with the opposite hand. When we have the same thing with the left hand, 2, 3, 4, or even 5 lefts, we fill it in with the right hand. So let's start with line 2, the first line of the PDFs, which in essence is line 3 of the stick control book. So here we go. All right, so now we do line 1 from the line from the PDF, just the first measure over and over again. Easy. Then I say, all right, we're going to fill it in. So we have 1 E N. Look at the sticks. 2 E N. 3 E N. 4 E N. 1 E N. 2 E N. Okay, now the second part, and I'm going to stay with this line. The second part, we're going to take what we just did with the fill-ins. We're going to keep them on the snare. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. But this time, we're going to make it a straight line of 16ths. So we're going to fill in or use the bass drum to fill in the 16th note that's missing. So the first segment will be 1 E and da. 1 E and da. 2 would be left, starting with the left. Now you put them together nice and slow. Okay, now we're going to go to line number 2 on the PDF. This time it starts with the right hand, and it does make a difference. You're going to have 1 and 2, and that's the line. Then we fill it in. 3 E and 4. Then 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and. We get line 1 and line 2 from the PDFs, yes? Okay, let's go to line 5, or 3 rather. I say 5 because it's in the stick control book as 5. But line 3 of the PDF. Now, the line is written as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. No problem, we understand that. So now we're going to do the line with the fill-in. 1 and 2 E and 3 and 4 E and 1 and 2 E and 3 and 4 E and. Okay, now we're going to make the line linear, a straight line of 16ths. 1 E and 2 E and, I'm sorry, 1 E and 2 E and. We get that? Nice and slow. 1, E, and I'm on a different line. Huh, sorry. Let me do the third line of the PDF. 1, E, and 2, E, and Now you get that, right? Now, what I want to do, it's not on the PDF, and well, first off, what you can do with that is you can maneuver the right hand and the left hand onto different voices. Or, see that? All right, now what I want to do to go on to the next step, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and I'll play all 6 of them for you unless you'd like me to. But, you know, if you understand it, you know, it doesn't make any sense for me to do it. We can go forward. So, if you remember, we referenced off the stick control book when we were doing 16th note singles. And what we did with that is we took all the rights. We eliminated the lefts and made the rights accents, like 1, E, and 2. Okay? Now we'll take this to that level. So we're going to play first the fill-in with like 1 E and 2 E and with the accent. Now the accent's going to fall on the counts of 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 1 E and 2 E and then we make it linear. 1 E and 2 E and then we take the right hand and the left hand and say, okay, I want to play all right hand accents on Mr. Floor and all left hand accents on Mrs. Tom. Okay? So we have 1 E and da, 2 E and da, 3 E and da, 4 E and da. It does make for some very interesting linear concepts. Okay? And, you know, you could do all the lines that way. I will have all 3 of them or 4 different ways written out, and in a day or 2 you will get the PDFs. Now remember, I've added 2 more platforms other than the YouTube and my site. I am going live on Facebook Mondays and Fridays, 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. Okay? Now, if you're on my friends list, you will see it. If you're not on my friends list, you're going to have to follow me because I can't accept any more friends because I have 5,000 friends and, you know, 5,000 followers. So, you know, you have to follow me. If you follow me, you will receive you will see me on Facebook. Okay? You got it? So now, like I said, I'll write them all out and we'll see what happens. Now that's the new stuff. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time unless you would like me to. And if you have questions on any particular line, I only wrote out 6 different lines. I'm not going to write a book for a lesson. But if you get the idea, man, it's something for you to practice. You're in the stick control book. You're practicing full strokes, half strokes, quarter strokes. And you're doing the fill-ins. You're doing the fill-ins with accents. And then you're referencing off the stick control book itself as all R's will be used as accents. And then the next step would be doing that, making it linear, a straight line of 16ths. So just from one lesson, you have 4 or 5 different ways to do that page, other than 1,000 and 5,000 other different ways. But it's a great book. I love the way George Lawrence Stone has organized that book. He's incredible. He's a brilliant, brilliant man. I do wish I had the opportunity to study with him and in addition with Joe Morello. But when you were with Joe Morello, it was like studying with George Lawrence Stone, but with an added attraction. All right? So I'm going to put that aside and leave that alone. The one thing that you should be reviewing, okay, is that Stone Killer. That's going to help you. You know, the 3 against 4, we did the 3 with the bass drum, but let's do the 3 with the bass drum and the 4 on top. We have 1. Now, without the 3 against 4 polyrhythmic thing, let's just do first those straight 16ths. The bass drum 1, 2, 3, 4, hi-hat 2 and 4. And we're going to play all the rights down on Mr. Floor Tom Tom. We're referencing again from page 5. All R's are on the floor tom tom. You have line 2. Line 2. One, 2. We will remember that. Line 3 and 4. Next line. So on and so forth. That's just the Stone Killer, the 16th note wall. No accents, all right? I don't really like to practice the Stone Killer as is because I learned it differently. It's the same principle, is to build it up to a consistent left hand or a consistent right hand and playing against it. That's what's going to strengthen, obviously, that's going to strengthen your left hand, not only coordination-wise, but strength. Look what you're doing with that left hand. Put the timer on, do it for 3 minutes, and play the stick control book down. So you're doing a couple things. You're actually playing open-handed, whether you realize it or not. Plus, you're trying to play against the hand, which makes it stronger. So anyway, that's the first one. Let's go to the second one. Now, it's not a clean 16th note formation. It's not 1, E, and I'm going to put an accent on the downbeat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Got it? While that's going on, I'm going to play all the rights down on page 5, but I'll start with the first line, nice and easy. That's the first line. Second line, the right hand shifts over now to the E's. So you have 1, 2, now. Notice the level with that left hand. The level formula is down, tap, tap, up. You're coming up in position to nail the accent. Okay? Now, let's do another line, like line 4, for example. So on and so forth. All right, so that's 2 ways. And it's sort of not a review, but I'm just checking with you, see if you're working on it. You have so much to work on. It's so ridiculous. It's just, you know, every day when I wake up, I say, wow, I can't wait to learn something new or be more creative. And that stick control book takes me on a creative journey. When I first did the stick control book, I said, oh man, this is so boring. But not until I dug into that and started to realize what George Lawrence Stone was doing. Who's this? Double kicks. You're late. Okay, that's okay. No problem. You missed a lot of good things here. Try to make it on time if you can. Like I said to everybody, if by chance, if you're going to view the lesson on YouTube or you're going to view the lesson on my site and we get booted, we're going to go, okay, to Facebook. And again, I say, I don't know if you're on my friends list or not. You probably are. But if you're not, you have to follow me. And if you follow me, we'll get the video. You will get the live lesson. Okay? So now that takes care of the first two of the Stone Killer. The straight 16ths, 3E and 4E, and then the accent on the first stroke, 1E and 2, 3E and 4E and then the accent, we move over to the last stroke, 1E and 2E and So you're playing this exercise with those three elements. It's going to feel, this is absolutely going to feel easier than this. Or this, 1E and 2E So work them slow. And you're going to play those three patterns at a variety of tempos, okay? So just you're not in a contest, you're not in a rush or a hurry. Actually, the slower you do this, the stronger you will become. And that's what we're after. The more control you will obtain, the more focus you need. No problem. Do we understand that, Mike, Seth, Stacy, and whoever else is watching who doesn't want to get into the chat? That's okay. No problem. Okay, we all understand it. Now, tonight's lesson is going to be on my site, 7 p.m. Who's this? You understand it. All right. It's not easy. I'm going to start to work in a week or two at a Joe Casadas books. How to maneuver around the drum set and do the cross-sticking and all that stuff. I don't particularly care for cross-sticking because it looks good, but it records like shit. Seth understands. Good for you, Seth. Okay, Stacy understands. And Mike, do you understand? I need some requests here. All right, let's do the stick control book again with a polyrhythm formation. Let's play 3 on the bottom. Okay, and we're going to play 4 on the top with the hands. We're going to use an exercise that you already had, that R equals 4 rights, and L equals 4 lefts. And we're going to play 3 on the bottom as we reference from the page. Okay, we understand that. And it doesn't, sit there and do full strokes. Yes, you keep doing that. But this makes it a little bit more fun. If I was doing the stick control book like I just did as 16ths, 1E, and played 3 on the bottom, it sure does making full strokes, practicing full strokes a lot more fun and more challenging, of course. But notice when I played with the right and I played with the left, My right stick and my left stick, I stress on making those both sticks, both strokes sound equal in sound. Okay, we understand that? Are we all familiar with Joe Quesada's books? Rudimental patterns and rhythmatic patterns? You don't need to purchase the books unless you want to. I will write out some exercises for you. Maneuvering around the drum set clockwise and counterclockwise. Triplets, 16s, turnarounds, so on and so forth. There is so much to do that when I think about all the things I do, I get tired and I need a nap. That might sound funny, but it's the truth. And between the ordeal going with this computer for the last 2-3 months, it was driving me crazy. It was not so much the computer or the broadcasting, it was the settings. Now, the settings were extremely difficult for me because I've had no experience understanding the settings. I use Wirecast, and I had to set it up to Facebook, to YouTube, and to my channel. And once I get one thing going, the other thing wouldn't work because the first thing I did was preventing it from working. So I had to really jump into the computer and find out what the hell was going on. Hopefully, I've done that. And like I said, there is the possibility of being booted, and that is not my problem, nor is it your problem. It's the internet itself. You have to remember, there's a lot more people nowadays on the web because of the fact they're not working, and it's kids, they're going to school on the computer. So that's a lot of bandwidth being spread out. Do we understand that? All right, any questions on anything? The second broadcast I did on YouTube, somebody, I said, "Do you have any requests or anything?" Because I was just trying to see how it worked. And he says, "Yeah, why don't you just open up on a drum solo, and after your drum solo, jump over your drums. Make sure you don't get hurt." Now, what kind of shit is that? I mean, I think it's, first off, I never would do that. Number two, I'm too old to do that. Anyway, anything that you want me to demonstrate before I close it up? Seth, Mike, Stacy? I'm really looking forward to Sunday. Well, I don't know what you would call it, but I guess that's a good term. Network saturation, bottle necking. I don't know what that means, but that's okay. What beat do I use with the bass drum? Okay, well, let me talk about that. First off, I don't call it a beat. That's number one. I call it a pattern. A beat is when I smack somebody, or I beat somebody in the head, or I beat the drum. I don't beat the drum. I play the drum. It's a pattern. What I've been teaching from the stick control book and from Gary Shafee's pattern books is how to develop the foot. So now when I'm playing with a group, for example, I more or less, if I'm just going to play a heavy backbeat on 2 and 4, I more or less lock in with the pattern with the bass player. And then from there, I just improvise. So there's no set pattern that I play with the bass drum. I do a tremendous amount of exercising with the bass drum so I can develop the endurance with my right foot and my left foot. But I don't call it a beat. I don't know why. It's a pattern. To me, if I'm playing something, what I call the money beat, and it shouldn't be just the money pattern, is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the most highly used Well, if I'm just doing the fill-ins, Stacy, the question is, how would I count the patterns I just showed you? Well, the norm would be 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I'm doing line 1 of the line 3 of the stick control book, rather, I'm going to play my bass drum 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to play the sticking pattern as written. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now, a lot of people will pound the shit out of that bass drum. They go, I can't even do that. Doesn't sound very musical. I more or less blend the bass drum in with what I'm doing with my hands. So it's not that it's overpowering what I'm doing. It's blending in to what I'm doing. Hear that? See it, Stacy? Now, that's just a simple stick control. If I'm doing the fill-ins, my bass drum's still going to be on 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a simple. Now, if I do it the linear concept, you know, we're going to make it a straight line of 16ths. I'm going to fill in the blanks, the missing 16th notes with the bass drum. 1 E and a 2 E. Got it? Understand? Yeah, I was doing 2 against 3. I mean, yeah, 3 against 4. What I did, I was playing the bass drum 3, and I was playing the top 4. I went to this exercise, if you remember, 4 with the right hand, 4 with the left hand, because R would become 1 E and the. Left would become left E and the. So I'm taking the exercise, instead of playing 1 E and a 2. The bass drum's on 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 E and a. Now I'm going to play triplets with the bass drum, and I'm going to do that same exercise on the top. So my bass drum is playing 3, and my top's playing 4. Okay, you got it? How about you, Mike and Seth and whomever? I mean, I could keep adding and adding and adding. I don't want to overwhelm you. It's just the stuff that you have now. It's just a lifetime of practice. All right, well, you could even reverse that, Stacy. You could play 3 against 4. All rights would become down in the bass drum. All lefts would stay on the snare, and say play 3 on the floor tom-tom. It's a polyrhythmic exercise. It just takes your mind all over the place. If you don't have vertigo, you will after you start doing things like this. All right, you understand? A good question. I'm glad that you came forward with that and said, okay, you understand, but you kind of not understand, and we straightened it out, I hope. Okay? Now remember, tonight, 7 p.m., if by any chance I get booted, we're going to Facebook or maybe back to YouTube. Either or, I will be streaming someplace. It's at a certain time of day or night. It's hard to connect the stream because of so many different people on the computer. Mike, you have any questions? Seth? Stacy, I believe I answered your question, unless you have some more questions. Not a problem. Any questions, everybody? Okay, with that being said, I'm going to close it up. I'm going to try to make the lessons a lot longer. All right? I am looking so forward to hanging out with my friend Steve. Oh, and another thing, too. I don't know. You guys are on Facebook, and you're in the groups or whatever, and you might see Pepe Morola. Great. I mean, he's a former student of Joe Morello. What's this? Good. All right. He was a former student of Joe Morello's, and him and I, we Skype together, we talk together. The guy to me is a really good drummer. He really is. You know, we all have our personality perks and all that stuff that we need to adjust, but that's, you know, that's him, and this is me. And he's in California right now, but he does travel as soon as this flying band or these clubs open up in the New York City area, New Jersey area. When he's here, okay, he will come and do a lesson. And that would be a very, very long lesson. And we're going to have a whole lot of fun. He's a really nice guy, funny guy. Good musician, man. Good player. Great set of hands. Seth, you've seen him. Stacy. Michael, have you seen him? All right. YouTube is telling me I got to go home. So, no questions. We'll see everybody tonight, 7 p.m.